What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to give you my honest assessment of all the knight builds available in the game. And yes, you heard it right. I've tested all the knight builds so you won't have to. I will also rank these builds at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around. Which leads to the sponsor of this video. Do you want to stay online 24/7 in this game, but don't want to use your phone or you don't have a computer to do it? UgPhone has got you covered. UgPhone is a cloud emulator that is perfect for AFK grinding. It is a cloud phone that runs independently in the cloud without consuming the memory or battery of your physical device. Even if you close the UgPhone app, your game will still continue to run in the cloud, which makes this the perfect app for AFK grinding for 24 hours, 7 days a week non-stop. You can also run multiple instances of UgPhone in one account, which allows you to play multiple games or accounts simultaneously. UgPhone is available in Google Play for Android, App Store for iOS, Windows Store for PC, and you can also use a web browser to run UgPhone. If you want to try out UgPhone, you can use my link shown in the description below. Note that when you are playing in the Southeast Asian region, make sure to select the Singapore servers. You can also use my invitation code, which gives you an extra 488 diamonds from UgPhone that you can use to extend your time in using the device. 12 diamonds is equal to an hour of an extension, so the 488 diamonds is an additional 40 hours in using the UgPhone cloud device. So thank you guys, and thank you UgPhone for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. Initially, I created my knight as an Agi crit knight. However, I instantly regretted that decision because that is probably the worst build that you can do in the early and mid stages of the game. So instead, I transitioned to the so-called meta build, which is the one-handed sword and shield, and I paired it up with the bash skill to one-hit monsters in the wild. That is honestly the most efficient way of grinding in this game. That is also the reason why this is called the meta build for knights, as it is very efficient and you can farm a lot of materials and XP through this method. However, there is also a third build that you can use as a knight job class, and that is the build that I will talk about extensively in this video. If you don't know what that build is, that is the spear build for knights, or basically using a spear weapon. So before I made the transition to the spear weapon, as mentioned earlier, my initial build was the meta one-handed sword and shield paired up with the bash skill. So I'm curious if the spear build can at least keep up with the current meta. By the way, if you don't know it yet, the spear build has two variations. One for the one-handed spear and shield, and a two-handed spear. This is also similar to what we have with swords, wherein there is a one-handed sword and shield and a two-handed sword variation. The main difference between the two variations is that the one with the shield is more of a tank, while the two-handed weapons are focused more on being the main damage dealer in the squad. For the difference between the sword and spear, the spear is mainly focused on the penetration stat. Again, if you don't know what this stat is, this is all about ignoring the enemy's physical damage reduction. You can read that in the stat window of your character. Another difference between the two weapons is that the one-handed sword has a perfect size modifier for the medium-sized monsters, while the two-handed sword and spears have a perfect size modifier for the large monsters. When I came up with this idea, I was thinking that the spiral pierce or the pierce combo in this game can at least have a decent damage when it comes to large size monsters. However, after transitioning builds and weapons, it was quite an underwhelming experience to say the least. My damage became lower when using the two-handed spear paired up with the pierce combo skill. Even if I'm targeting large size monsters, the damage did not come close to what I was dealing when I was using the bash skill. It was quite a letdown, to be honest, because this build of the knight was one of the most popular builds back in the day, as it was considered as one of the classic two-way builds in the game. It was a tank that can also deal a decent amount of damage from the spiral pierce and brandish spear skills. As you can see on the screen, I have to use the pierce combo multiple times in order to take down a monster, which is very inefficient when it comes to farming in this game. What's funny is, when I tried using the bash skill in this build, it was still stronger than the spear skills. In this clip, I am now using the bash skill with the spear build, and as you can see, I can now one-hit the monsters in the area. It was funny, but at the same time, I was quite disappointed, because you can easily tell that there is no parity when it comes to the different builds in this game. You are really forced to stick with the meta when it comes to prioritizing efficiency in farming. Oh, and if you're wondering what the name of the brandish spear skill is, in this game, that is the mounted attack. It's not really that good because it has a long cooldown after using the skill, especially on higher levels. It's not the same as the bash, wherein you can spam this skill in quick succession. It's quite sad as I've already tested all the builds for the knight, from the Agenite to the meta and now to the spear build. Oh, and by the way, I would not recommend doing this because the items that you need in order to reset your stats and skills are quite expensive. I've almost used up all my rubies because of these changes. But again, that's the point of this video. I did those things so that you guys will no longer do it. Overall, if we compare the 3 builds of the knight and rank them from best to worst, the worst build in the early to mid stages of the game is the Agi build, simply because you need to have better equipment and cards in order to pull that build off. Without the right equipment and cards, being able to attack fast and hit critical damage on the target is simply not possible considering how the system works. This build will be more ideal in the later stages of the game, when you have a high progress for your character. The second one, or what I call the mid build, not too bad but not too great as well, is the spear build. It has a decent damage output, however, it is still overshadowed by the bash skill. If we are being realistic, I would rather use the bash skill, which can one-hit monsters over the spear skills, which again defeats the purpose of using the spear build. And of course, the best build for the knight, it's not even a question. It's the one-handed sword and shield. This build paired up with the bash skill is very overpowered, especially when you use the right equipments and cards for the build. It's very versatile in PvE and PvP, and it is very F2P friendly in my opinion. It's also good for beginners or players with less experience in the game, as the level of difficulty is very low. The concept of this build is very easy and straightforward. So if you ask me, the build that I would highly recommend is the meta one-handed sword and shield. Although, if you are really a fan of the spear or the two-handed swords, you can still play those builds. Just remember that there is a more efficient build available in the game. You also have to take note that the size modifier in this game can have a huge impact with your playstyle. What do I mean by that? The main reason why the one-handed sword and shield is called the meta is because it has a 100% damage output on medium-sized targets. And if this game is following the classic rules, with regards to the size modifier, the players in this game is also considered to be a medium-sized target, which makes that build perfect for PvP. When it comes to the PvE side of things, this is where the spear build shines, because most MVP monsters in this game are large-size monsters. So you might want to consider that as well. Are you a PvP or a PvE focused player? Or do you want to play both? It's really up to the player's preference. But anyway, these are the results that I got from testing all the knight builds in the game. Of course, this is not etched in stone, as this is only the first week of the game, and this is what the current patch has. There will always be changes coming in the future, so the meta can change as well. My best advice to you is to play the job and build that you like. If you are an F2P like me, the best way to enjoy a pay-to-win game is to have fun with your character. If you force yourself to play the meta build, even though you know that it's not the build that you want to play, you will probably get bored a lot faster. So again, Just enjoy and have fun. This is just a game at the end of the day. I'm thinking about a different class to play next. Let me know what class should I play in my next video. You can write it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to see more the Ragnarok content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. GG!
You're a superhero.